Hey, what's ready? Welcome back to News Dose, and I mean, let's be real. This generation has been, it's been a little strange for the console market. There's just been a lot of changes, or even an evolution to how we typically view traditional consoles. I mean, it really just kind of depends on how you view the situation, but we are now in a time when the console makers are branching out from just supporting their own console. Now, Xbox is definitely much more forthcoming with their multi-platform plans, but it's not just them. A lot of people haven't acknowledged this quite as much, but the evidence is certainly there. PlayStation has been dipping their toes into a more multi-platform future too, and, well, we just got a very interesting update from Sony because they are seemingly thrilled to bring their game, and maybe even possibly more, to Xbox. Yeah, we're going to get into all of that today and why this likely means that more games will come to Xbox sometime in the future. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go get right into things, though, starting off with Metroid Prime 4. Early previews went out earlier today, and to some surprise, its reception has been somewhat mixed. I mean, in terms of gameplay and just visually how it looks, for the most part, those two things seems to hold up fairly well. But there is an asterisk, because at the very least, the section that Nintendo showed off had a companion that these outlets just flat out did not like. Yeah, this companion was described as a comic relief character that just doesn't fit into the Metroid Prime universe because, you know, these games typically absorb you into their atmosphere and try to make you feel isolated. And this companion, the way he's described, he seems to somewhat destroy some of those vibes. And to make matters worse, they also mentioned that the companion tries to help you solve puzzles and even find items at times, which also goes against Metroid's exploration. Personally, that's actually one of the things that I hate the most about modern day games. You know, this exact same problem was one of my biggest complaints about God of War Ragnarok, and truthfully, it was one of the main reasons that I left that game somewhat dissatisfied compared to the previous entry. Because to me, a big part of gaming is problem solving. I don't need some side character to hold my hand and tell me all of the answers. I mean, if I'm truly stuck, and I just cannot figure out what to do, then I'll simply look up a walkthrough or something like that. But yeah, if all this is true and if it's actually a big problem for the game, I hope that Nintendo allows us to turn off its hint system. That's kind of the thing, though, because we don't really know if these companions will be like this throughout the entire game or if it's just kind of a tutorial thing early on. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with all this, but at least when it comes to the early previews, they weren't nearly as glowing as I would have expected coming from a Metroid Prime game. Even still, though, I'm still very excited to play Metroid Prime 4 myself. I do love me some Metroid, and outside of the companions, it does look like a very good game. So, I'm crossing my fingers. Oh, and speaking of unexpected, here's a rather amusing story for you. So you remember Concord from last year? You know, that Sony game that flopped so hard that it was removed from existence within less than a month of its release? Well, apparently, it's actually back. Yeah, so this is because of a fan-made revival for PC. A group of people have band together to reverse engineer Concord and to bring it back online with the use of custom servers. And yeah, apparently they actually already have it working. It's not public, but they seemingly have a Discord for, I guess the 20 people around the world that, for whatever reason, wants to go back and play Concord all over again. And hey, I actually think that that's the bigger news here. Not the fact that it's being revived. I mean, hey, you know, that's cool and everything, but really, I think the big news is that Concord still has fans at all. I mean, even at its peak high on Steam, it was at a whopping 697 players, and that number dropped like flies the day after its release. So, I mean, this is an amusing story if anything else, but I'm not really expecting Sony to feel like this is meaningful in any way, shape, or form. Now, we also got a new Minecraft game announcement. With the help of King, Microsoft revealed a brand new mobile game titled Minecraft Blast. Now, we don't have a trailer quite yet because it's only in playtesting for the time being, but you can see from its picture, it's a free-to-play match puzzle game, and I just want to say, I've already seen an outlet run with the idea that Microsoft followed Sony's lead and also made a game that they're not publishing on Xbox, to which I'm going to respond. First off, Xbox has been doing this for years. This is nothing new for them. They've made various mobile-only games, and also, for that matter, the games that they've been doing that with has kind of made sense to be mobile-only. The problem that people have with Horizon Still Frontiers and the new Ratchet & Clank, to a lesser degree, isn't that those are mobile-only, it's that those games would actually fit very well onto the PlayStation 5 because they're better suited to be played with a controller. I mean, for that matter, Horizon Still Frontiers will be available on PC. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense for that game specifically to skip the PlayStation 5, whereas Minecraft Blast, I mean, this is clearly a mobile game through and through. So I think the narrative going around, or the talking points, is a very apples to oranges type of comparison. But either which way, if you like Minecraft and if you like puzzles, well, then here you go. Now, it's only available on iOS through playtesting for the time being, but they mentioned that they do hope to include more platforms in future playtests. All right, now let's go and get into the big news of the day, and that's the relationship between Xbox and PlayStation. I mean, whether you like it or not, they're teaming up in various different ways, and it's not completely one-sided either. I mean, of course, Xbox games being on PlayStation has been well documented. Xbox is all in on their multi-platform plan, but PlayStation, they've been dipping their toes into a more multi-platform future as well. Of course, they've been pushing into PC for quite some time. I expect that to actually increase in the coming years, possibly even with a PC launcher. Then they've also been licensing out games to be published on Nintendo consoles. And then most recently, they launched Helldivers 2 onto Xbox. And I think it's that last one that's the most eye-opening, because Xbox and Sony have been bitter rivals for the better part of 25 years. So for a lot of fans that's witnessed that rivalry at its peak, it's almost unbelievable to see them suddenly get along and to release their games on each other's consoles. But that's where we are. Now, to be completely fair, Sony is much more selective when it comes to what games goes multi-platform, but that's kind of the thing here, because Helldivers 2 seems to have opened Sony's eyes. Now, before we continue on, I do want to go ahead and rewind here for a moment, because if you remember right, last year, when Xbox first started their multi-platform initiative, they originally claimed that it was only going to be 4 games. However, as we now know, once they started to see that they could make a lot of money on PlayStation, I mean, Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon have been big-time success stories on the PlayStation 5. Well, when they saw that, then suddenly that original claim of just 4 games went out the window. Microsoft quickly shifted over to there's no red lines, and every game could potentially come to PlayStation at some point. And I bring that up because Helldivers 2 kind of feels like a similar situation for Sony. It only starts with this one game, a game to test the water, if you will, and, well, in this case, Helldivers 2 certainly passed their test. Sony's CFO recently spoke about Helldivers 2 on Xbox, and she revealed some eye-opening information regarding its success on Xbox. I mean, we already knew that it outpaced the first 6 weeks for the PlayStation 5, which she did mention that it's doing, in her words, extremely well on Xbox, but apparently there's also more to it than just that, because she said that not only did the Xbox port give Helldivers 2 a big boost because of the addition of Xbox players, but it also helped boost engagement for PlayStation 5 and PC gamers as well. So in other words, multi-platform games feed off of each other because it not only increases word of mouth, but it's also a way to connect gamers and friends to each other who might have different platforms from one another. In the grand scheme of things, though, what does this actually mean for the future of PlayStation and their multi-platform initiative? Well, as she concluded, this means that they will, quote-unquote, build on this recent progress. She said, "We aim to strengthen our studio, business, and expand our IP franchises through continuous learning and improvement." Expand being the key word there. With this information, Helldivers 2 absolutely will not be their last game on Xbox. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're suddenly going to bring their single-player AAA games to Xbox day one in the future, but when it comes to their live service games specifically, I think there's a high probability that those will come to Xbox in the future, and who knows, maybe they'll even port some of their back catalog games that has more or less run their course as PlayStation exclusives. I mean, Spider-Man, as one such example, could be on the table for the future. I think that could make for a great multi-platform game, and it would be easy money for them if they want to go into that direction. I mean, for that matter, if the rumors are true that the next Xbox will include Steam, I mean, a lot of PlayStation games will already be available on the next Xbox, even without PlayStation's help. You know, of course, PlayStation has a lot of their games on Steam, so who knows? PlayStation might become even more open-minded to multi-platform games in the future, considering there's already a loophole for Xbox's next-generation console. Let me know what you all think about this, though. Do you think exclusives are a thing of the past, or do you think Sony will strictly stick with live service games for Xbox and nothing else? Let me hear it in the comments below. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.